Hey, Chapel Warriors, Tammy here. How are you doing this evening? Thank you for joining us. I have alongside me here, alongside me, I'm in lovely Orlando, Florida right now, enjoying some time with the family. But here is Henry Ball with us from South Georgia, or so to speak, South Atlanta.
Live, not at the beach. This is
Live, not
Henry
at the
Ball.
beach.
Live, not at the beach. This is Henry Ball. Hey, Tammy, I hope you're doing well today. Hope you guys are having a great trip.
We are having a great trip, but I will
Awesome.
tell you, these grandkids are wearing me out.
I can imagine.
All right, so I want to get started. We're going to give an update this evening about the Chapel case and some of the interesting information. One of the big questions that people have been asking for a while is what has happened to all of the evidence that has been sealed in those boxes that are down with the Gwinnett County folks, and we've been forbidden to get into them. So what's going on with that? Because I know that y'all tried and were told you couldn't have access. So what's happening there?
Well, just to go back to a particular point in the podcast, there was a point that Sean and I made a trip down to the Gwinnett County Courthouse, and I think we had somebody come on and criticize Sean's description of the floors in the courthouse or some such nonsense. But what was interesting about that trip is when we got to the clerk's office and asked to see all of the evidence in the Michael Chapel case, it really kind of set the office abuzz. And pretty soon, we were talking to a manager, and we were talking to different people, and they said, well, there's 7 boxes that are sealed and you guys can't have access to those 7 boxes. But we'll bring the rest of the boxes up. So they brought up like 20 boxes, I think, or 21 boxes, and set them all out. And we had to sit right there at the table and go through them. And so we did that for a few hours. And as you heard in the podcast, we did find a lot of things. We found a lot of things that corroborated things that we already had, things that we already knew, but a lot of it was also new information, especially for Sean. And it was a very fruitful trip, but we were really curious about those 7 boxes. And I've got an idea of some of the information that might be in those boxes. But one thing I can tell you, and I say this very confidently, if that information was harmful or damaging to Michael Chapel, it would not be sealed. We would have known about it years ago. So I can only imagine that the reason the information is sealed is because it was embarrassing information to the police department and to the district attorney's office and powers that be. And so, that information should have long since been unsealed. And in fact, I asked the clerk, is this normal? Would you normally have this much evidence sealed in a case like this? And he said, not at all. In fact, he said, I've never seen this. He said it's been 30 years, so can't think of any reason why this information would still be sealed. I mean, think about it. We can go look at the JFK files at this point, but we can't look at the Michael Chapel files. We can look at they've unclassified the UFO files, but we can't look at the Michael Chapel files.
Yeah.
And what was interesting too is that in some of the boxes that weren't sealed, there were packets of information that were taped up and sealed. And so there was more than just the 7 boxes. There was other information in the boxes that weren't sealed. And I showed that to the clerk. I said, hey, this is in an unsealed box. Can I look at that? And he said, no, you can't open those either because those are sealed. And so now that gets us to where we are today. We essentially have asked them to show us everything in those boxes. They said, well, you have to have a court order. In order to get a court order, we have to have the original order so we can ask a judge to overturn that original order. And we asked Gwinnett County to produce that for us. And it's taken them until, just the last few days to finally produce those sealing orders. In fact, at first they could only produce the seal orders for 5 boxes. They've now produced the seal order for 7 boxes. but not all of the other stuff that was sealed. And the question remains, who sealed those items? Because those items weren't sealed by the judge and weren't signed by the judge, and that's the only one who can seal it. So Mike's attorney is working. In fact, I think he said he was drafting it today. But in order to unseal all of those boxes, and we're very confident that those boxes are soon to be unsealed, and we will soon be able to update on what might have been in those boxes.
I tell you, just from a layperson's perspective over here, it certainly screams cover up to me.
What do they say? It's not the crime, it's the cover up. And here's what it says to me. And I agree with you. It certainly says that there was some degree of cover up because there's information that they don't want the public to see. Right. And why is that the case? I mean, is this a national security issue? Is it, it's not, of course. And of course it's 30 years later. So why are we still trying to hide this information? But it's indicative, and especially the other packets of information in the unsealed boxes. They were just taking information. They're like, oh, we don't really want anybody to see this. Tape it up and put a seal stamp on it. But that's not signed by the judge. That's not subject to that sealing order, because the sealing order was for box number 1, box number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and then number 6 and 7, which also means they went back and got more stuff sealed after the initial seal order. But why is all that stuff, required to be sealed? But here's what it really shows you. It shows you just how far they went to make sure that the whole truth and nothing but the truth was heard by this jury. They wanted to make sure that the public didn't hear the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Because as we know, the whole truth and nothing but the truth is not what was used to convict Michael Chappell. And I feel like we're very close to finally having those boxes unsealed and having the complete picture. Of course, we already know what we already know. We know where Mike wasn't on the night of April 15th, 1993. So we know you can't be two places at one time. And really that's ultimately what it boils down to. If you ask me to sum it up in, a minute, it simply goes to, we know where Mike was at the time of the murder. Therefore, he could not have been at the Gwenco muffler shop, and you can't be two places at one time. So case closed.
Right. Well,
of course, we know there's so much more information than that, but that's really the heart of the matter.
Yeah. Well, so this weekend you posted an article that was just jaw-dropping to me, and I want to bring that back up again. It was called A Bartered Childhood, and it was the story of Paralee Thompson, the daughter of Michael Thompson. And of course, if you have read the book, know the story, listen to the podcast, Michael Thompson was Imogene's son. And so there had been a lot of speculation around him. And so I want you to speak to that for just a minute, because number one, I want y'all to go and read that article. You would just see what has happened to his precious woman, and that she's also a victim in this situation here, but also the fact that there's some information in there that speaks to a possible motive for Michael Thompson.
Well, yes. And the article wasn't about Michael Thompson. The article was really about Paralee Thompson. And as you said, she's a very nice woman. And, I have enjoyed getting to know her and getting to know her wife. And, they seem like, very, very good people. The fact that she has been through what she has been through, and the fact that Danny Porter really facilitated that is what, really angered me in that, putting that story together. And not to give it away for those who haven't read it, but there's evidence posted in the article that you will see that Danny Porter facilitated Michael Thompson not paying child support for the entirety of that girl's childhood. And, you know, when Michael Thompson says in the podcast that he was left in the wind after his mother's death, well, no, it was really his daughter that was left in the wind. And, you know, she only really had one person who could have prevented that. And Danny Porter allowed that person to get away with, you know, with not preventing that and with a lot of other things. And so I think if you look at it, you know, I ask myself, and I thankfully I've been married for, you know, 26 years, and I have a lovely wife, and we have a great relationship. We have one child. But I think, you know, if something happened and, you know, for whatever reason, you know, things didn't work out with us, and I think we may have lost Tammy. But if things didn't work out and I was in a position where I was supposed to pay child support and I didn't, well, you know, I'd lose my license. I'd probably lose my job. I'd go to jail. I'd have liens against me forevermore. You know, they take that very seriously. People have to pay their child support. And Michael Thompson was told, hey, you get up on the stand and help us convict Michael Chappell. You know, we don't really care if you're telling the truth or not, but you help us convict Michael Chappell, and you've got to get out of jail free card, and you don't have to worry about that old child support. And that 7-year-old girl who had nothing, you know, had no power and nothing to say about any of it, and was suffering through a lot of health issues, was just left in the wind, as he liked to say. Welcome back, Tammy.
Sorry.
So I don't know if you heard all that, but I kind of
I can hear
my
everything.
rant.
I can hear everything. Yes.
Okay, good. So I kind of gave my rant, and we'll leave it at that. But yeah, if everybody hadn't had a chance to read that article, please do so, and please give us some feedback. And we'll be looking forward to seeing Paralee and Wendy at the event, and it should be a great event. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we are getting closer and closer here, folks. We are literally within 4 weeks from this event. And if you still aren't aware of what we're talking about, it's the Live in the Land of the Lies event in Statham, Georgia on September. Golly, we going all the way to September, July 22nd. Y'all, did you hear me? July 22nd. The beach got to me today. It's the sun.
You've been sipping them pina coladas, have you?
No, I haven't. So we want you there. And like myself, I am a huge event planner. I have done tons and tons over my lifetime. One of the biggest things that event planners need is a head count. So I'm screaming, we need a head count. And we don't want to go with the head count we have now, because we know you're going to be there too. And we want to make sure you're going to get to eat and that you will have fresh drinks there if you want one. So nice cold goodies. Listen, y'all, it's real easy. Donateforjustice.com. And that way you can go ahead and go on there and grab your ticket, secure your seat. You want to do that quickly because we only have a limited number of VIPs as well. And you want to be able to grab those before they're gone. It is going to be a phenomenal event. If you haven't seen the silent auction items going through the feed, you need to look at that as well. There's this really cool guitar, right? A special guitar. Tell us about that and some of the other information.
Yeah, so Mary Lou Crowder had sent a few things that she was going to donate, which was some lovely furniture art. And I looked at that and I said, wow, those are, you know, that's pretty good. And two of the items were guitars that she had, you know, kind of customized, and they were, you know, I thought they were really cool. And I thought, you know, wouldn't that be cool if we had an In the Land of Lies guitar? And so I contacted Mary Lou and said, hey, would you be able to do this? And she said, yeah. So we purchased an acoustic guitar, and she stripped it down, and she's painted it and done a few little things to it to make it a custom In the Land of Lies acoustic guitar. And our very own Sean Kite is going to autograph it. So it'll be a one-of-a-kind Sean Kite acoustic guitar for In the Land of Lies. And, you know, what you see in the feed is actually just a work in progress. Mm-hmm. It's not finished yet, but I thought that picture, you know, from the work in progress would really show how cool that item is going to be.
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to seeing it. But it's going to be really cool. But we've gotten some other really cool items too. We've got a lot of purses and different things that all of you ladies have been being really excited about. I don't know anything about those items, so I'll let you describe them. But we also have something I do know about. We've got 3 baskets full of liquor and mixers that have been donated, and they're very cool, and they look like they're gonna be very fun.
I
And
see those as guy items for sure.
yeah, and there's a lot of packages that have showed up here from Amazon, so a lot of the things on the registry have been purchased. So I think the live auction is going to do really well. So appreciate that, everybody who has donated items or helped us in any way. We've got a few people out proselytizing for the live event. Laura Griffin Finney and her family have been posting flyers, old school style, up around Athens and Lawrenceville. So, they're on the flyers are on the light poles and shops and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. And we've got a lot of momentum. But like you said, we've got some hard deadlines coming up in terms of the number of people and the things that we have in the room and for the amount of people. And so we really do need to know who's going to be there. So if you haven't bought your ticket yet, you're planning to come, please go ahead and pull that trigger, so we can count you in the head count, and tell all your friends and do everything you can. Let's make this a very successful event. There will be 99% sure we're going to be covered by a local news station. So we definitely want to have a very, good show of support. And there, as Sean mentioned, he's invited some special guests. And so hopefully there will be a couple of treats there for us in terms of some special guests. Can't really, divulge that yet because none of that's set in stone, but
we need to sell tickets so that we can get this.
Yeah, exactly. So step it up if you can help. Let's do it, and let's make this an awesome event. And
we also want to just say thank you to everybody that is donating tickets that can't actually come yourself, but are so gracious and kind to be able to just go on there and buy a ticket and say, here, use it for somebody else, because that benefits as well. Remember, all of the funds above and beyond what it takes to put on this event will go towards FIGHT, which is the 5013C organization that is going to fund as best we can Mike's defense. And we just appreciate all of you so very much who have already donated. But get on there, get your tickets. We're not going to keep you much longer, but one final little thing. Somebody asked how the Martha Zoller show went today.
Oh, I appreciate you bringing that up. So they used to have it to where I could go on and get a link and post it so everybody could hear it. But I can't find that on their website. So John Clark said he was going to reach out to the station manager and see if he could get a hold of today's clips so that I can share them. But as of right now, I don't have them. And so I haven't heard. So I'm really asking you guys, how was the Martha Zoller show today? If you were able to hear it, hope I did well, and hope we were able to get the word out. I can tell you that after the Martha Zoller show, several people did join the group today, and a couple of them said, hey, I just heard this on the radio. So certainly people heard us, and we do appreciate John Clark for having me on. John Clark, as you know, interviewed Aaron Chappell and myself for iHeartRadio not too long ago, and I've been on the Martha Zoller show before. So he's a huge supporter. He has really helped us to get the word out. So we appreciate that. And hopefully we'll be able to share that with everybody real soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you folks for joining us, Chapel Warriors. We truly appreciate all that you do for us in supporting the Michael Chappell is Innocent project. Until
Absolutely.
next time, have a blessed evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.